Alright guys, today I'm going to be doing a care sheet video for the Savannah monitor. I had somebody on my channel ask some tips for care, and I was going to make some videos today, so I figured I would just go ahead and make a little care sheet video. First of all, I'm going to say this is in no way all-inclusive. This is just a really quick overview. I'm in no way like a complete expert on Savannah monitors or anything, but I will be able to tell you the main things that you need to be able to keep them successfully. First thing, my cage is, of course I have a male, not quite full grown, but almost full grown. He's in the range. He's in a 4-foot by 2-foot deep enclosure by, I think, 2 feet high. I'm using dirt and cypress mulch as bedding. With monitors, I've tried to keep him, if you watch some of my older videos, I kept him on like a newspaper substrate just for easy cleaning. Monitors need to be on dirt. They do not need to be on newspaper. They need really good humidity to shed and things like that. For some reason, it's kind of a really common misconception that Savannah monitors come from like a dry, arid place. That is not true. They do not come from a dry place. So they do need dirt. Anyway, a lot of people you can actually use dirt from outside if you have good dirt. You don't have to worry about pests or anything like that that's in the dirt. You can just throw it in. But I use a mixture of potting soil, or some kind of potting soil, topsoil, and cypress mulch. Really, ideally, you really want to give them about a foot or two of substrate. But I don't have a foot or two to give them substrate, so I use the cypress to it'll help retain some moisture a little bit better. So as you can see, it's a little bit dry right now. I missed it about every other day. You just kind of watch it. You don't want it to be wet, but you want it to have you don't want it to be so dry that it stirs up dust. So anyway, next is the basking spot. You want to keep the temperature kind of in the mid to low 80s as far as just the all over ambient cage temperature. The hot side should probably be in the 90s, and the basking spot it needs to be 130. And actually, some people even keep them higher than that. I get all my main care sheet I got from Pro Exotics. They have a website, proexotics.com, and they have a great care sheet on monitors. They breed really good monitors. Be a basking spot of 130. You can just use they don't need any kind of like special lighting, so you can go to the store and buy like 50-watt flood bulbs. And I think actually I have like a 100-watt flood bulb, which is why I only have one. A lot of people, especially for full-grown monitors, which I will be doing for him soon, is they use 2, maybe even 3 lights, so that they can get a way bigger space. So soon he'll be getting more, but yeah, actually I think his is a little bit under. I think his is around 125 is where it stays, but that's not too bad either. We'll be jacking it up soon. See, he's hungry. He thinks I'm gonna feed him. Right now, all I have in mind is a log to hide under. You can give him more stuff to climb on. Mine does not like to climb. If I put a bunch of stuff in there, he would still only hide under one log all the time. So that's why he only has one right now. Yeah. A water bowl. The water bowl should be big enough for them to submerge themselves into. His is not quite big enough anymore. What I've used is these just cheap cat litter boxes. I mean, you can go to the store and buy a Rubbermaid. If you have a big monitor, you can go and buy go to Home Depot and buy the big cement mixing tubs. I don't know what they're called, but they're really big. Those work great. Anything like that. Yeah, I'm getting him one a little bit bigger and giving that one to my Nile monitor for the time being. But it's still big enough where he can pretty much get in there. Yeah. What else is there to say? Feeding. If you have a baby or a young one, feed 6 days a week. Sometimes I fed mine 5. Feed them on insects like roaches and crickets and mealworms, and they'll even eat earthworms and things like that. 4 days a week feed them on that, and then 2 days feed them on rodents, just dead thawed rodents. I definitely do, unless your animal won't eat a dead mouse, like a thawed mouse, I do not ever recommend feeding live. One, it's not nature, they're in a cage, and your animal can get hurt. I've seen monitors, big monitors, that had horrible infections from getting bit by a live rat. I mean, yeah, monitors are some of the toughest of animals in the reptile world for sure, and if a rat can hurt them, a rat can hurt anything. So yeah, I would always recommend feeding frozen thawed. If you have a baby, what I like to do is get a frozen thawed and cut it up a little bit. Pinkies don't have, like a pinky mouse, they're not fully developed with their bones, so the monitor isn't getting as much calcium as it should from it. So what I'll do is I take a hopper and I'll cut it up. It sounds gross, it is kind of gross, but I'll take it and I'll cut it up into like 3 different pieces. That way it's small enough where it can eat it, and feed it that way, and that way it gets a lot more nutrition. What are other things? Babies you can keep in smaller tanks, and then when they get bigger, you're gonna have to move out of tanks unless you have some monster like 200-gallon tank. You might be able to do that, but that's an expensive tank for a monitor to be in. He's actually probably eventually, hopefully soon, I'll be moving into a house where I'll have a reptile room. And his cage will probably go to 5 foot by 3 foot. And maybe even be put on top of a trough so that you can be dirt. That's the best way if you want to put dirt, is to build your cage around one of those metal horse troughs. You fill the trough up with dirt and then build the cage around the top of the trough. That way they have a lot of dirt to dig down into. It's kind of a lot of work doing that, but it's definitely worth it if you can do it. Adult feeding. Once you raise a baby, you kind of just get the feel of how much it eats and how much it needs to eat. I'm feeding mine right now once a week. That's it. I feed it like 3 mice every Saturday, and that's all I'm feeding it right now because it's getting a little bit plump. Maybe during the week I'll throw it like a hopper, some kind of really small meal, just to give him a little snack, but that's it. I'm not feeding him much. Before that, I was feeding him 2 days a week on mice and monitor diet. You can feed ground turkey every now and then. I definitely would not ever use it as a staple. I would just occasionally feed it, and when you do, you need to put supplements on it. Insects, I would supplement, every other time you feed them. Not every time, but every other time should be good, with calcium and vitamins. He wants out since I'm out here. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I don't know what I've missed. Miss the cage every few days. Just look and see how your monitor's doing, and where it is in the cage. If it's basking all the time, constantly, you might be hot enough. But definitely don't guess temperatures ever. Get a thermostat. Get one of the little ones with the probes at Petco, and use that. Like I said, this is not all-inclusive. I didn't actually even plan this out and write stuff down. I kind of just was shooting the breeze with it, so I might have missed a few things. Any other questions, just ask me at the end of the video, and I'll either explain them or make another video. Sorry this video is so long, but yeah, monitor care is something that's very important. If you take it lightly, your monitor will die. You probably would not believe the amount of Savannah monitors that are imported into the country and die due to poor care. You have to do it right. So yeah, any questions, just ask me.